Howdy, folks. Tex here. Welcome to Southern Belle Bigfoot. Let me introduce y'all to a great friend of mine, Celena.
Hey y'all, I'm Celena. I started this channel because I had my own encounter, and I know what it's like to be ridiculed and unable to share my experiences. I want to give everyone a safe haven to share their encounters with these magnificent beings. I love to hear yours as well. Please email them to me at cwlenagarrett@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support me in my journey to the truth, my Cash App is $Celena Bigfoot, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Howdy.
Hi, everybody. How are y'all?
Celena, you're doing better. Everybody's glad to hear that, I'm sure. You had a little
Yes, I
bout
don't
with
think anybody even knew it.
yeah.
I don't think I killed anybody online.
Poison oak. I think she got out and rolled around in it or something. I don't know. She didn't.
Yeah, well, I'm not kidding. I have not rolled since my last show.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it looked like. So I was, what do you call it? You need to educate. I need to educate because I
Right.
went there and did the gifting thing. And that's when I got the 2 sticks and the marble left on my swing.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know I stay on my swing with my puppies. Well, I got 2 sticks and a marble left on my swing after gifting a Hershey bar with almonds and a hamburger steak in a bag, a sealed Ziploc bag. Anyways, I get out there and I'm touching this tree and fixing the little fixings, go back out there the next day, and it's gone and it's shredded and opened in a way that I've never seen a candy bar open. The bag was rolled down. It was the craziest thing. It tickled my heart. So, of course, I had and tried to overcompensate and do it one more time. And I guess I got too happy and got excited and touched the tree. And I didn't know what even poison oak looked like. Yeah, I've got, and I hate to be gross. I do. I'm trying to be a lady. But I have open sores all over me, like between my fingers and stuff. It's horrible. It taught me a lesson because I've always thought, Lord, you just itch, don't you? I mean, that's all you do. No, you get all these sores all over your body, and I felt like some kind of monster. I told Tex I felt like a monster myself. Anyways, thank you so much for y'all tuning in and joining me because I haven't been present this week. And of course, Tex is hard. He said, "Don't apologize. You're all right." But I just felt like I was missing all week long from saying hello to everybody and letting y'all know how I was doing. And but we have Lyle Blackburn tonight, y'all, and I'm so excited. Can't wait to hear about his new book and his experiences, and can't wait to aggravate him a little bit. It's my first time meeting him, and I'm so excited because I've watched him a lot on TV. So, Tex, let's bring Lyle Blackburn out. I'm ready to see this guy.
Sure. There he is.
There he is.
The legend himself.
He's wearing that cool hat. The cool hat.
The hat, or people ask, where's the hat? So always have the hat.
Yeah, I was looking for pictures to put up as a thumbnail, and I ran across pictures of you in a ball cap. It like threw me in the shot.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and that's why I just kind of default to this. Now, of course, I'm from Texas. We just were born with hats. It's just a thing. People, why the hat? Well, I don't know. I was born, my mama and daddy were there, and they put a hat on me. That was just the thing. But, like, I wore I'm a musician is my other career. And so I wear the hat and that's sort of the band image. So when I started writing the books and doing all this, I just kind of had the hat. But then I'm like, I don't go in the woods with this on every time. It's a leather hat. So I'd wear ball caps, but I'd show up at cryptid events and people like, where's the hat? So after a while, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to wear the hat like every time. There it is.
Trademark.
It's a trademark. Exactly.
Well, it's crazy because it's got the same way with me because I've been sitting in hotel lobbies at an event and had my hat off, and just sitting there in the lobby, and people walked right by me and didn't even recognize me.
I can see that.
And I'm like, how did you miss my big ass? I don't get that.
Tex.
Right. Yeah,
He's
it's
so
just something
great.
about, especially when people see you on like doing a show or the internet or TV, they just sort of have that fixed version, so they're not used to the others, so they'll recognize you. But yeah, if I want to just, if I just want to be lay low, wear a backwards baseball hat and sunglasses, and I can
That would
be,
throw me off. If I didn't see you with a hat, Lyle, I would not even know you. Like I
and
would.
people wouldn't know me. Maybe the mustache, but that's
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't think I'd recognize you without that hat. I don't know. It's just something that stuck in my brain. I pictured you when Tex said that. I pictured you in a cap, and I thought I would recognize him with a cap at all. But I can see Tex. I can see Tex not being recognized without his hat easy. Um, because the first time I ever seen him in a picture without a hat, it threw me off. But Lyle, I'm just to aggravate you about something. I was doing some studying. I like to go and do a little studying on my guest. And I was doing some studying, and I
I
come
used
across
to.
an episode of Lyle's collection at an office. You have so much memorabilia and so many things around you in your office. I thought, gosh, you could go for years and never see the end of that collection. Lord, how long did it take you to gather all that collection? It was so
Well,
cool.
yeah, I mean, it's stuff that some of it's from when I was a kid, monster toys and so forth. And, um, of course, just over the years, getting Bigfoot casts and cryptid things, a lot of Legend of Boggy Creek memorabilia. So it's been a long period of time. And actually, the video that's online of that is at my old house. I got a new house and I kind of redid the whole thing, so it's even more. I would say not necessarily. It's a little bigger, but it's definitely more well done, and the lighting, and I have a bigger cryptid section. So
Y'all need to go watch this because
yeah.
it starts like you're trying to catch it quick enough before it moves to the next item. And I was like, oh gosh, let me look at this. And then it moves too fast. And I'm like, wait a minute, I wasn't finished looking at that one. So go find the episode of Lyle when he's showing his office and all his collectives. It's cool. It's really cool. And so, but you know what I'm fixing to ask you about? I'm fixing to ask you about your new book. Why don't you
Okay.
present that to us? Tell us about it.
Okay. Well, I thought ahead, and I have a picture here of the Lake Worth monster. True story of the Greer Island Goat Man, and it's kind of an ironic thing as to how this book came about. It's a case. It's a rather old case from the late '60s that originated at Lake Worth, which is just north of Fort Worth. And I was born in Fort Worth, and I've always lived in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, all my life. But eventually, what kind of got me into this was some reading some stories on Bigfoot, and then seeing the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek, which dramatized sightings of a Sasquatch-like creature in southern Arkansas. Well, that's when I realized, wow, there's stuff. I thought at first Bigfoot's in the Pacific Northwest, wherever that was. That was so far away. But with The Legend of Boggy Creek, it was here. What I didn't realize is I sort of had an even more hometown monster, so to speak, with the Lake Worth monster case. And that started in the summer of '69 in July, where some people were out in this area of Lake Worth, which was like a lover's lane hangout back in the day. It was much more remote. It was a wildlife preserve out there, and it's a reservoir of the Trinity River, which I know Tex is familiar with the Trinity. And it was just a heavily wooded place. And there was a gentleman and his wife out there fishing near this place called Greer Island after dark. And he was down there fishing, and his wife was kind of spooked out. So she stayed in the car, and she was reading a book or just hanging out. And all of a sudden he hears her screaming, turns around. There's what looks like a hairy white looking creature up on the car. And when he gets up there, this thing was trying to grab at his wife, and he tussled with this, and managed to get free of it, jumped in the car, and drove to a little cafe. Of course, there's no cell phones back then, so we had to go to a cafe. He called the police. The police respond, and there was also 2 other carloads of people that were present that witnessed this. They all showed up at the cafe, and so the police were like, this sounds crazy, but something's going on here. So they, of course, go back down to the spot, and of course, whatever it was is long gone. And so the following day, that was printed in the Fort Worth Star Telegram by Jim Mars, who is famous for writing UFO or conspiracy type books later on. But this sparked this sort of viral thing where by the very next day, there were hundreds of people down at Greer Island along Lake Worth. And the very next day, at least 30 or 40 people see this upright figure run up on a ridge and throw a tire. And of course, they all scattered and everybody ran. And that resulted in another newspaper article, which resulted in just a lot of stuff that went on over the next couple of years as far as this case. So it sort of made the Lake Worth monster famous, and people reading the paper at that time, everybody knew about this in Fort Worth. So it was a cryptid case that also included an alleged photo. One of the earliest, famous Bigfoot. I mean, it was reported to be a goat man. Some people said it had horns, but most
That's what I was just going to ask, is the description. Yeah.
Yeah, the original guy said it had horns and possibly scales. That's what it was printed in the newspaper. But he said it was hairy. It was upright on 2 feet. It was tall. And the subsequent witnesses all pretty much described it as an ape-like creature. So pretty much a white-haired Bigfoot. So long story short, this case has a lot to it. There was a local writer wrote a small book about it, and it floats around. So over the years, I've done television shows on it. I've spoken at the Lake Worth Library several times on the topic. The Fort Worth Library has had me come on. The Watauga Library, which is close, has me on this month. They always ask me to speak on it, so I thought, this needs a book, and
Yes.
I should be the guy that writes it, seeing as how it is really my hometown creature.
Well, I'm so glad you did.
That's how it came about.
Thank you so much for writing that, by the way, because I love to go back and just study on things. And what's so funny is, don't you just love it when there's more than one witness? That just tickles my heart when somebody says, yeah, but there was 3 or 4 other people that seen it too. And they're reliable, So
yeah, and that sets this apart quite a bit, I think, because and most of a lot of my books, like The Beast of Boggy Creek and Momo the Missouri Monster, they're centered around one case that just had tons of stuff, and usually the police were involved. You had numerous witnesses. So yeah, I like that. And it, no matter what it was just something that was just lives forever on the internet as a famous cryptid. So yeah, those have a lot of substance, and where you find some sightings, you'll always find more that were not reported or not in the newspaper. Once you start digging, you always find more. And so I was able to contribute more to it than was ever printed on anywhere else, really.
yes, don't tell us that part. We want to read that part. Anyways, what I know that we're speaking on the new book, and I can't wait to read that. And the cover is so cool, by the way. Just letting you know, the cover is real cool. And also, the first time I ever seen you ever was about the Fat Monster on TV. I remember you doing an interview on the banks near where one of the sightings were, and you were, I can't remember if you were interviewing somebody, but I do remember you speaking. Now, this has been a while back. I mean, quite a while. So,
yeah.
And then, of course, I seen you on several other things on TV. So I was like, I'm really excited, and I appreciate you, Tex, reaching out so to get him on here for us. I was really excited to meet you, and thank you so much for coming. So tell me, if you don't mind, because like I said, I'll probably be the first one to order your book. But tell me, if you don't mind going back a little bit, because I have a fascination with the Fat Monster in Arkansas. I want to hear what witnesses told you. Do you mind telling me some of what the witnesses told you?
Yeah, no problem. That's and you can kind of see that book right there, The Beast of Boggy Creek, which was my first book that sort of was the indication that a lot of people had a fascination with the Fouke Monster, the Boggy Creek case, and had seen the movie. I kind of set out to research at that time just because I love the subject and I felt compelled to find what was true about the movie because it was tagged as a true story. And well, I learned that what you see in the old movie is pretty much what the witnesses reported, and in some cases, the actual witnesses were used in the movie to reenact it, which makes it very realistic and
Yeah.
very real, like a docudrama. So when I started researching this so many years ago, I was just sort of starting as that kid who had seen it, who is now an adult looking at this with a more investigative mind. And, you could see that the townsfolk were reluctant sometimes to talk about it, but I kept going back and saying, look, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to write the history of this amazing thing that people come here from all over the world to come to your little town. And I then found encounters that had happened before the movie and encounters that had gone on because I thought, a lot of people thought, oh, it's all from the 70s. But there had been encounters that had been, happening to locals and, for years after that just never got any press. So now I was able to interview first person witnesses who had encounters, whereas some of the ones in the movie and those older ones, those people had either passed on or, this is a while ago. But I found them to be very sincere. I found that, and many times they kind of didn't want to tell about it, but if I, kept coming back, they would eventually talk to me, and I was very respectful of it. And so I feel like at the end of the day that there's no doubt that there is something, a population or something in the Sulphur River bottoms that defies, proof or explanation, but there's certainly something to it. This is not a town making up a story to draw visitors. It's not moonshiners using it to keep people out. None of the kooky theories. This is
Because
just
they were
literally
reluctant to even discuss it. Yeah.
right. So, I find, and I still have interviewed credible people, ever since. I mean, I pretty much get most witnesses or something that's reported eventually comes to me. So I'm able to interview, people as it goes and continue to log sightings, new and old, So I feel like there's something to it. And I feel lucky to be a part of that movie in any way, or just the keeping it alive.
Okay, can I say something?
Yeah,
I
go
gotta
ahead.
say, I'm gonna tell you the truth about something. And yes, I'm brown nosing. So everybody that's watching, Southern Belle Bigfoot's fixing a brown nose. Okay, and I don't like to tell people that. I don't like to do that. But I'm gonna tell you, after I seen You Standing on the Banks, is when I went and rented it, and it was $4.29 or something like that with tax and everything to rent it off whatever channel I could, But I remember the exact amount to rent it. It was $4.29 with tax to go back and watch it. You made it so interesting, and I thought, wait a minute, these witnesses. I mean, when they would talk, they would, it was like a sheriff. It was a sheriff, wasn't it, or the chief of
Right,
police?
and that's
Somebody.
the Boggy Creek Monster documentary that we did with
Oh,
Small
it was
Town
a good
Monsters in
Lyle. You did good. It was so good. I
2016.
went and rented it because of you. I'm not kidding. I'm brown nosing.
Right. Yeah. So that was the retired Sheriff H.L. Phillips, who had been there during when the heyday of it, when 1971 is the first time it actually got in the newspapers, any story of it. Now there have been encounters before, but people were not coming out of the bottoms running to the newspaper. They didn't want any part of that. It just so happened that it got out to the newspapers about an incident known as the Ford sighting. But yes, we were able to interview the sheriff and first person witnesses, and I mean, very, very credible and a very good case, because it's not just one or two people. It is years of multiple people having seen virtually the same thing.
Right. And like I said, I love that they're credible. I mean, it's hey, Dr. Robinson, I just seen you pop up, Dr. Robinson. Thank you for coming. Oh, y'all, I love JoJo and Gary and Jason and everybody else and Mickey G and Freaky Geek and all y'all. But Keith from 1675, don't let me forget him and Lauren. just telling y'all one more time, thank you for what you've done for Tommy, for getting that fan mail to Tommy. That meant a lot to him, by the way. But I just wanted to tell Lyle that he's the reason I went and rented a movie and spent some money. I thought, is that going to sound desperate? But what it is, the interviews is what captivated me because they were so credible. Like it wasn't just Mojo on the corner. It was credible people. So.
Right, and I mean that's really what I try to do is by anytime a television show comes around and covers the subject of Boggy Creek, I really try to be able to do that. And the documentary, countless podcast interviews, because I feel like it is something that's important. It's a big chunk of Bigfoot history. As a first thing where people go, okay, wait a minute, Bigfoot creatures are also in the South. I mean, we're familiar with that, obviously, but most people didn't know that. And it's just very important, and it inspired so many fellow researchers from, guys on finding Bigfoot and everybody in between. Lauren Coleman, who's done so much for cryptozoology. It's been such an instrumental, influential piece of the Bigfoot history. So I'm always happy to continue to tell the story, lend credibility to it, and to remind people that the sightings are still going on.
Yes. And so that's so important.
They're still going on today.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, in that area, that's what's crazy. And Lyle, we've talked. My family's from Texarkana.
Yep.
I grew up. In fact, I went out to see my sister this last week, and we were sitting there talking about this stuff. And because I forwarded her with some evidence that I've got, and she was like, she's convinced now, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that these things exist. Okay. But we were talking about how when we were growing up and everything, and we would go out and see family up there, and we would spend the whole summer up there, and we'd spend Christmas vacation up there and everything. We were hearing these stories before the movie ever came out.
Right. Yeah.
So when the movie came out, it was like, oh my gosh, they made, a movie about something that, it was almost hometown thing to us, and it's weird how it, like you say, people that they're hesitant to talk about it because especially back then, but now I think the stigma has kind of left it a little bit, but
it's much better. I find that the younger folks up there are happy to talk about it, and are often like, they want to speak to me about it, or whatever.
Yeah.
But when I was talking to some people who had sightings in the 60s, I was about as far back as I could find a witness that. No, I'll take it back. Somebody saw it was there when there was a sighting in the 50s. But, in that area, those people were far more reluctant. They were just not, this was not something that, now we have all the cable television shows and all these shows where you say, okay, well, other people's seen it. I guess I'm not crazy. But back then, nobody wanted to say they had seen something like this.
Some of them still don't lie.
And some still don't. So, yeah.
Well, and jumping back to the Lake Worth monster, again, that's another story that stories that I grew up with because I'm from this area, and it was, and I have the book you were talking about. Somebody wrote back in the day. I've got one of the original printings.
Wow!
And I was gonna bring it on with us, and I
got a copy here.
It's stuff back in freaking storage. I got to go get it, but it's pretty amazing because
this book was written in 1969. It's just a sort of homespun publication. Of course, it is very collectible now. Celena and Clark wrote it, and she wrote it kind of quickly. there was a lot of things that happened after, even after she put out the book. But luckily, we have this because without this, a lot of it would have been lost because the newspaper didn't cover, after a few of the major sightings, then they're trying to talk to people to debunk it, whereas she was still out there interviewing people. So, yeah, if you got a copy of the original book here from 1969, this is a piece of cryptozoological history.
That's what I'm telling y'all. When you see his outfits, it's so cool. Or his collectibles is what I mean. Anyways, I had a question, and Tex, this is for you. You made me think about something, and you and Lyle maybe can answer it. Okay, when you were talking about your sister and you, okay, you mentioned Texarkana. I have an honest to God question, and I really sincerely am serious. Is the movie or is the town that dreaded sundown a true story? I was
Yes.
curious. Oh, it's real. Like that
My
movie took me today.
yeah,
It's by the
my
same director, Charles B. Pierce, that directed The Legend of Boggy Creek. That was his third movie, and it's based on sightings of what was known as the Moonlight Killer or the Phantom Killer from Texarkana in the 1940s, which was a sort of hooded character that was, an unsolved case. So that movie is
That's why it got me. I had to ask that question because I thought those
my
are the most brutal
my
killings I've ever
mother my mother was working in a soda, what they called a soda fountain back in the day, and or soda shop back in the day, and one of her friends was one of the victims
seen. I'm so
that she
happy.
worked.
Yeah, and that's how connected it is to even your family. Like it impacted, like you'll still meet people up there, as you well know, that have memories of all of that stuff. They're
Yep.
getting on in age, but and that H.L. Phillips, the retired Miller County sheriff that was there during the Boggy Creek stuff, he was a deputy back in the 40s when that was going on. And I did talk to him off camera about the Phantom Killer case because he was literally a police officer on duty at the time, which has some crazy stuff he was telling me.
Yeah, because it was that was that. I mean, that had that whole town. You know, I mean, they people because back then you didn't lock your doors and other people were locking their
Nope.
doors. It was the same. You see the same reaction, like in Wichita with BTK and you know that type of thing. These sleepy little towns that everybody knew everybody, but when that stuff started happening, everybody was scared and they didn't they gut reaction, knee jerk reaction, whatever you want to call it, going out and buying guns, locking their doors, and everything. But yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. But
Yeah,
but
I'm
yes,
so
I mean, it was a true story. And I don't know if you heard me or not, but my mother was friends with one of the victims of the Phantom Killer in Texas.
I
So
missed something. Yeah, I'm sorry. I was being contacted and somebody the car got stuck in my front yard. And I was like, what? I have to take off and go check. Okay. So, anyways, I was like, whose car got stuck in the front yard? Right in the middle of my live show and right on the question that I wanted answered so bad. Okay, I'll have to go back and watch my own show. And I am so sorry, y'all. I know that's not professional. Okay. Uh,
Well,
but anyways, I will go back and watch it. I will. But that I thought if the things that happen in the movie, unless y'all have done answered this while I was running outside, um, they were hard, like they were brutal. Like I had never heard of some of the way they were killed. Like
mhm.
some of them were just
and what is in the movie, the way the killings happen is pretty accurate. It is that I mean, there's a little stretch on some of that, but essentially,
are you telling me
and
the
that's what.
trumpet scene wasn't real?
Well, the girl was killed and she had a trumpet, but um,
Uh,
it was not exactly like the movie. But let's just say it was not pleasant, and the masked killer thing. And keep in mind, this was the 1940s. People now this is just stuff that happens, or we've seen Friday the 13th movies and we've seen all this, but back then this is extremely scary. Like Tex was saying, is that people were locking their doors, but what you see in the movie is quite accurate. The very end, where they shoot at him and he runs off over the railroad track and stuff, that didn't happen. But
Yeah.
up until then, pretty much all of that. So it does have a link with Boggy Creek because they're both local, and that's why Charles Pierce, the director of The Legend Boggy Creek, which was in 72, he lived in Texarkana. So then he did one called Bootleggers about moonshine running, and then he did The Phantom Killer, Town That Dreaded Sundown, because these were local stories, all of them, and he knew that he could specialize in that. He brought that authenticity to those movies, which made them quite successful at the time. I mean, Boggy Creek earned like $25 million in the 70s, and it was made for $160,000.
Wow. Well, it got my money, that's for sure. And it, like I said,
It was definitely the Blair Witch of the day, for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh Lord mercy. That's
Very real. I remember when I saw that in the drive-in, in my child's mind, I remember thinking, how was the news people there with the camera when the people were having the sighting? How did they know they were going to have a sighting? So I didn't understand what a reenactment was. I was too little. And I mean, we're definitely familiar with reenactments, Finding Bigfoot, all the shows do it. Which incidentally, let me circle back to that one funny thing after that. But, we're familiar with that concept. But when I was a kid, I couldn't understand. It looked so real. It scared me to death because I thought, oh my gosh, there's a film camera. But the funny part I was going to say is I was recently on an episode of Expedition X, the Josh Gates sort of spinoff where the two, Phil and Heather, go out and investigate. Well, they did the Fouke Monster, so I, of course, did an interview. But they reenacted a sighting I had, and I was waiting to see this on TV because they had a guy dressed in a big black hat, and they drew a mustache on him. He was kind of blurred out, but I'm like, this is gold, man. It was like, I just
that has to be really
how
cool.
they portrayed me, and of course his hat was like this, and connected the mustache here. See, there's no connection, so.
There's only one Lyle Blackburn, right?
Yeah, I mean, I felt honored. It was cool, and I was glad to be part of the episode, just at least to impart some of my knowledge of the history while they're out there investigating, or whatever. So.
Well, Josh is always getting into something really interesting. I enjoy watching his show. But let's see and I also watched that Expedition before because I like Dr. Maria Maynor. I think she does excellent research and takes care of the evidence really cool. I mean, like, she's meticulous. And to me, that's pretty important to being squeezers, kind of thing.
Well, me and you spoke at last year's Fouke conference. I think it wasn't very long before the conference you had something happen to you out in the woods.
Yes,
right. Yeah, that was the first time I had ever told it because it had happened so recently that was the first opportunity. So yeah, you were there when I first told that, and of course I've been going down there for 15 years or whatever, and things have happened, and I've seen, I'd say a maybe on a reddish colored creature, maybe, but I couldn't see it quite, not 100%. So I didn't want to say absolute, but and then there's howls and things, presumably stalking myself and my our late friend Tom Shirley and things like that. But this happened in April of 2024. So yeah, it's only a little more than a year ago, but this was definitely the best sighting. And I will say, I'm quite sure I saw the creature. And what happened was myself and Glenn Haskins, a friend of mine, and my girlfriend had gone up to Fouke. This was prior to that conference, and we went up there to do some investigation and some looking around, and we had hiked back along this swampy lake because it's a lot of bottomlands. It's called the Sulphur River Bottoms, And Boggy Creek is just one small creek tributary within this huge, undeveloped, very remote bottomland. And so we had gone all around the edge of this swampy lake that I've never been all the way around it. I mean, it's quite big. And when you kind of hook around it, the Sulphur River comes back on the other side, and there is literally nothing for miles past that. And it was getting late in the evening, and we had just kind of traipsed through the mucky muck, and we were just looking for footprints. And somebody said they had seen a big pile of bones. I'm looking for that. I didn't see it. And so I saw a game trail that kind of just went up through the trees. And I thought, oh, look at that. An easy trail. I can just walk right up. And for whatever reason, I started walking up it. And I always kind of move quietly. I mean, I don't stomp around or holler in the woods. I'm moving, quietly. They were maybe 20 yards off, and they're kind of talking. And all of a sudden I hear crunching, which sounds like footsteps or at least something moving, an animal moving. And I look up, and about probably 30 yards away, I see what looks like something black, like maybe a leg and another leg. And I thought at first it was a hog. There's a lot of big boars, hogs in there. Immediately I thought it was a hog. But then I see a full figure just emerge from behind the brush and begin to walk through just an open area between some trees and some other brush. And within those seconds, the hair on the back of your neck stands up, the adrenaline shoots, and I'm going, it's walking upright. Your mind thinks it's a person, and then I'm thinking that's not a person. There's no clothes. It was uniformly dark, very black, and upright and very big. And it I saw it for maybe 4 seconds as it walked, and then just disappeared behind into this brush. And so at that point, you're just freaking out. Like in my mind, I'm holding it together, but I'm thinking either I run after the thing, which I normally would have, because I'm like, I want to see it some more. I'll just run after it. I don't care. Or I tell my associates here, because I'm thinking there's no way that they can't not see it. It's somewhere right over there. So I thought, well, if they see it, even better. Multiple witnesses. So I decide to go down there and kind of get their attention. And I'm like, I just saw, I'm trying to, I just saw that. And they're like, what? I'm like, shh. Like, shh. And, it takes me several seconds to convey that I just saw. And then they saw the seriousness. They're like, oh my God. I said, let's just start methodically moving down there, because if it gets up and runs, and my girlfriend starts the camera and follows us, and we start down there, and of course, I'm not sure which direction it may have gone, and it gets real thick back there and real kind of dark. It's very swampy and kind of spooky, We kind of descend down there, and we don't see it, and we kind of spread out and look, and nothing. I mean, whatever it was, obviously, I can only presume, but in the time it took me to tell them, and I made some noise doing it, it could have took off in any direction and just was simply gone. And by the time we got down there, it was too late. But that was the best sighting, and certainly I would say I saw what everybody else has reported down there for so many years, and I wish I could have just stopped or posed for a photo. Of course, I had my phone in my pocket, but it's like it happens that fast and that unexpected. Yeah. You're not taking a picture, and that was it. And so,
isn't that funny how you're so like you're trained in studying these things, and you know a lot about the research, and yet when you see one, your mind don't go to, hey, grab that camera. I'm telling you, the only reason I've said this in so many interviews that I grabbed my camera, it was on the rubber holder on my windshield right in front of my eyes. I would have never thought to grab that camera otherwise if it wasn't hanging right there in front of my eyesight. My mind just went blank, and mine was boxy at the shoulders and huge and black as soot, black. And so your mind don't go, grab the camera, hey, get a good picture, or Bigfoot, come over and get a picture with me, pose. They're not going to do that. They're going to head away from you. And so it changes your life. A lot of people says I say that too much, but it does, because you no longer look at things the same when you head out your front door,
Right. And it happened so fast that there was no time, at least in that. And typically you get, well, you get a little passive, like I'm sure Tex identifies this. Most of the time you go out, there's nothing going on. It's not like
Yeah.
you're just out there photographing wildlife running
Right.
amok with these Bigfoots. It's like, you can be at the ready 99.9% of the time, but if you just are not expecting something in that one little window, and I don't carry a camera. Maybe I should get a GoPro that runs all the time. I'm not a gadget person. I'm old school, like my dad was a bow hunter. We never carried any equipment. We carried bows and went in the woods. No water, no compass, no nothing. So I think I'm like Tarzan, but I should
Sounds
employ
like my
more.
nephew.
In retrospect, I should have something, where there's a GoPro running, because that's the only time you're really going to be sure that you catch something that happens that fast. Now, if it comes out and stops in the road and stands there for 30 seconds, well, maybe you could get a picture, but that's such a rare occurrence that
Well,
really.
even at that, Lyle, like, you see these things and it never gets old. I've had multiple sightings,
Mhm.
but every sighting, you're still in awe. You're
You're
still
right.
in, you know, and I've I've never been one to carry a camera with me. Never have. This is because I don't know. I'm one. I don't want to have to focus on a camera when I'm trying to walk around out in the damn woods. You
I
know,
know, like a bunch of stuff. I just
yeah. There's too many things I got to worry about, right? Um, but it's just and I haven't pulled the trigger. Well, I say that I got me a camera to film underwater for my underwater fossil hunting and dives and stuff, but um, it may be something in the future that you know I'll start doing. But here, up until now, I haven't pulled the trigger to get a camera that's filming all the time. And hell, half the time I forget my shit when I walk out the door.
right. And then
When I leave camp, it's
you
like,
got to charge it. You got to have everything
yeah,
charged and all that. And then like there's theories that they can hear the sound of that or sense
right,
IR and all that. That you may have a camera and that may actually reduce your chances of a sighting in some ways. So you just can't outthink this. And I don't know. For me, it's like I'm not necessarily out to prove it to the world, or whether I just like to have. If
the
I can see
experience.
something, that's awesome, and I can. I wish I had some physical proof or a photo, but that's not going to really serve as scientific proof anyway. So, you can only just kind of
Lyle had.
use
Oh, I'm sorry.
you.
Go ahead, thanks. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, that's all.
I had a question about. I was going to ask Lyle, what is your opinion on when people do, even if it's from a distance, get this very clear footage that is so obviously a Bigfoot, and you see this creature and you're like, "That's no man. There's no man. There, that's no man. That's no regular man," and it's very clear. And then you get the ones that they're trying their best to come out of shock and try to get a picture, and it's blurry, but you can still see that it's not a man. And no matter how clear or how blurry, they still gonna call it a hoax. What is your opinion on? I ask every guest the same question on hunters who say, "I've been hunting 35 and 40 years and ain't never seen nothing." I'm sorry. I have to ask that question to every guest that comes on.
Well, I mean, it's a good question because my uncle and my father are lifelong hunters, and it's a good argument but it that doesn't disprove anything. My Some hunters will hunt and you never see a cougar or
Yep.
aka mountain lion or puma. That doesn't mean they don't exist. Those are pretty rare sightings. Some, of course, some do, but I've been hunting. I've never I've never seen a bear while hunting. I've seen a bear in the wild in the mountains, but for example, in East Texas, there is occasionally black bears that roam there. In no time have I ever come across one. Yet I've gotten a few pictures of people who saw a black bear, even in near Boggy Creek. There was one time, and I know hunters, and I asked hunters in the Sulphur River bottoms. I said, "Have you ever seen a black bear up here?" I've got a person with a photo that came from here. I know they did. No, I've never seen one. Have you seen a track? No. Well, they definitely go through there, but all you can say is these creatures are very rare, and unless you're kind of looking, that's the other thing. I mean, you might see something and you just dismiss it as something else. I mean,
tree trunk.
tree trunk, bear. I don't think I saw that. You have to come at it. It's it's not that easy, and if they're rare, your chances are low, and all those other things. So it's hard to explain why some people have seen them and some don't, but it doesn't mean they don't exist, I guess.
Right.
That would be true.
Well, I mean, I've been I've been hunting 30, 40, 50 plus years, I've seen 3 bobcats in the wild.
Right.
That's it.
3.
And they're not all that rare.
Right. There would be more of those. Your probability of seeing one is much higher, yet you've only seen 3, and you're a guy in the woods a lot. So
right.
That is a low percentage of sightings. I saw a jaguar rundy one time.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a bobcat. Never seen a mountain lion. I don't think my dad has either. I want to say that he's never seen one out hunting. So there are known animals that are very rare to be seen. So the same could be said of Bigfoot, especially if we presume Bigfoot has some intelligence up and above those animals that actually tries to avoid us. That's even harder.
Right.
Or if they,
I've never seen a coral snake in the wild.
Yeah, coral snake. There. I mean, that just shows you there's known animals you don't see. So it's even harder to see something that's even more rare.
And
right.
Like I said, their intelligence. I mean, I think people underestimate their intelligence. I mean, of course they're going to protect their children. They're young. They're going to, go somewhere where they're, not seen because they want to protect their children. And usually when they, throw stuff at people or growl and things like that, is to get them away from their young and things like that. And I've never seen myself personally a family trying to scare me off or anything like that, but I did see a clan. I did, and I don't know why. Lyle, you had to go back and watch it. I was delivering court documents and was watching the house because I've had a lot, some shotguns pulled on me. Anyways, and I all of a sudden looked at the house one more time and just glanced up, and this big, huge black thing's in front of me, and I just lost. I lost all intelligence. I couldn't put my car in reverse, things like that. But before I pulled out, I thought, they're in front of me, what's behind me? So I did the click, click, click thing. Go back and watch that. But I won't tell you that story because everybody's heard it so much. But anyways, I usually like to, ask people, what do you, other than the, the monster, the lake, what is it worth?
Lake Worth.
Okay.
Lake Worth.
Y'all, I'm sorry, I have Lake View on my mind. I think it's because it was my grandmother's church. And I got Lake View on my mind. Anyways, the Lake Worth Goat Man. Other than that, do you have any other endeavors going on that you just ain't telling us about?
Well, what am I doing lately? Well, I've been working on a research for a new book, so I've kind of been working on that, and I'm also a professional musician, so I've done a lot of. I've been over in Europe playing shows, and I've got to do a new album, and then we're playing Greece and back to Europe. So there's a lot of that going on right now, which is good. I mean, it's like my day job that's a night job. So
yeah, how did I not know that he was a musician? Because he was just showing around his office. So I didn't know anything about you being a musician. I knew that Dr. Robinson.
You'd be surprised how many people that even know Lyle that don't know that he has this fantastic band, by the way,
Oh wow.
Lyle,
Well,
called
now I'm
Ghoul
going to
Town.
find it. It's called what?
Ghoul Town.
Ghoul
Ghoul-
Town. I'm writing that down.
Ghoul
Right
Town.
now. Ghoul Town.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's like there's only like usually if I'm on for this subject, it just stays mostly on it. Sometimes I'm on shows and they're playing Ghoul Town, ask me all these questions. So it's like sort of it's two separate things. It's like people ask me about my real job or something. Um, so but it's out there, and so I sort of go back and forth. Like I'll put out an album and tour and then or do whatever. And lately it's been a lot. Like I said, we had two shows coming up in Greece, one in giant festival in Maryland, and then more touring in Europe. So but that's great because it affords me the luxury of, I don't have to put out a book until I am done with it or whatever. I don't answer to to any day job or whatever. So
Well, it sounds like you got it made being a musician. I'm telling you right now, I love music like no tomorrow. Uh, but I will go and investigate and see if I can listen to some of your music. And how would I find it? Just Googling your name with
Look
your
up Ghoul
name.
Town.
Just
yeah,
Ghoul Town. Okay.
Ghoul
Tell
Town,
people how to find it. Ghoul Town. Okay.
everywhere. YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, Pandora, every place you can find music.
Okay. See, I don't know much about computers, and you'll learn that about me too. I'm learning a lot at a little time. So I'm bless Texas heart. It without him running things from Texas, y'all. I'm serious. And what people don't tell you, and I know this is getting off the subject, but I'm going to educate you for a minute. I have never in my life seen poison ivy, poison oak, or anything like that. You hear people talk, but you're like, so what, you itch? That's what you're thinking. I ain't never had it, but you just itch, so rub something on it. No, they don't tell you that poison oak can turn into the most horrifying, dehydrating. You want to pass out when you bend over. You don't want to eat when you're on this prednisone and all this kind. I mean, you just lose your appetite. You get weak. You start getting open sores. Y'all, it was horrible, and it still is. But I feel better today. I finished my steroids today. So I told Tex, I'm not kidding. This is the first time I've wore a little makeup in exactly 7 days today, I guess, 6 days. But anyways, I know that was off the subject, but don't go chasing and grabbing trees like I did. Don't do that because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what the leaves were. I was like,
Yeah,
hey.
that's what I always say. A lot of other things in the woods that I'm concerned about up and above cryptids. It's usually venomous snakes, poison ivy, ticks. These are things I don't like. So I'd rather encounter a cryptid any day over getting that.
I'm telling y'all that I didn't take it seriously. I thought it's a plant. You'll itch. I mean, I did. I didn't know nothing about it, but it totally, my system just totally shut down. And I have been absolutely without any energy in a miserable doctor in hands, elbows, everything. And so I'm glad to be back to Celena, Southern Belle Bigfoot. Anyways, Lyle, is there?
Don has a question about genre for Ghoul Town. My friend, there is no genre, and it is very hard to describe, and it's good and bad. We're kind of a crossroads between Johnny Cash and Rob Zombie, somewhere in there, like dark western.
Cash and Rob Zombie, I love it.
People call us western metal, but we're not totally metal. You just have to listen. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just dark western Texas, Tex-Mex horror rock almost.
There's a new name, Tex-Mex. Listen,
Tex-Mex.
I just have to ask you. You said you're in a band. Do you do lead? Do you do drum? What do you do? Guitar? What do you?
In Ghoul Town, I'm the lead vocalist and guitar player. One of the.
Wow, I'm glad I asked. See there, y'all go check him out because I had no idea he was a musician. That is so awesome. I'm learning so much. See, I thought I knew this guy because I TV and started looking him up.
I can't really get a real job because I'd have to wear the hat because people say, "Where's the hat?" It's like, oh, where am I going to work? Like, hey, we can't wear that hat here. Well, I have to because people are not going to know who I am. So see, I can't even get a real job. So I have to I have to make
I'm
a
not
living
kidding when I say I wouldn't have known you without the hat. I'm serious.
doing cryptid endeavors or music. That's all I'm qualified to do. Those two things.
All right, Tex, I am keeping up with
Jason says, "Drink with the Living Dead" is the one. There's one on me likes.
Yeah, that is our most famous song. Yeah, I think the video has like 25 million views currently
oh,
on
God.
YouTube, and that's only on YouTube. But yeah, every day I get up, I think I thank the gods that I have come up with that song because it has been very beneficial to the
25 million views. Y'all heard that. Wow. Go check out his music because you know I'm getting off here and checking out his music. Anyways, Lyle, are there, remind everybody again the name of your book and how they can find it and things like that and end this thing for us. But I'm telling you, I'm fixing to go check out your book and your music.
Okay, well there it is, Lake Worth Monster, true story of the Greer Island Goat Man. And if you go to lyleblackburn.com, that's where you can find jump offs to all this stuff. It covers all the books I've written, all the documentaries, like what Celena was talking about, and it's got links to the band, so you can see everything there, just what I got going on, and uh, you know, then that kind of defines the jumping off to where you can pursue that. Of course, my books are on Amazon as well, and all that. You can find it everywhere.
All right, y'all heard
I'll
that.
I'll
Go
put
check it.
I'll put your website link in the
Oh, good.
description
Thank
of
you,
this video.
Tex. Bless his heart. Thank you so much, Tex, for
Well,
all your help all the time. And Lyle, oh my gosh, so cool, dude, to meet you, even if it's on a computer screen. And like I said, you're the reason I rented that movie. I'll never forget that. But anyways,
awesome.
good luck with your endeavors because it sounds like to me that man, you're so popular, and I'm so happy for you. Uh, Anyways, okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming to be with Southern Belle Bigfoot. And listen, if I'd have felt better, I'd have been on here more. But I'm bouncing back, and I sure love you guys. And I couldn't see all the names, but thank you so much, Don, and all y'all for coming out. JoJo, you just mean so much to me. And Lyle, thank you again. Tex, hugs and kisses, man, for saving me again one more time on the computer. Thank you. Go check out
Thanks for
Lyle.
having me. I appreciate it and having me on, and great to see you, my friend Tex, as always.
All
We'll
right, go check
we'll
out
catch up when you
Lyle.
get some downtime, Lyle, and we'll get out in the woods when it cools off. Good God.
Yes.
I know that's the time I'm working on other things because yeah, but this fall I got some holes in the schedule, so we could probably do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Cool. We'll do something.
Oh.
Okay, cool, man. Talk to y'all later.
All right, bye.
See you
Love you,
later, Lyle.
Mary.
Thank you, buddy. We'll get Lyle out of here, and then we'll say our goodbyes, and we'll let everybody go.
Lyle, I don't know. I think my screen's set too high, but if you can see this dude, I just think you're awesome. And like I said, I'm so glad that I watched that documentary because I'm such a horror fanatic. I love like scary movies from a kid. So thank you for taking the time. I know your life is busy, but I'm so glad I met you, dude, and I so appreciate you. I'm going to check out your book and your music. Thank you for coming, dude. Thank you so much. God, that hat kills me. That hat kills me. Oh my gosh, Tex, I can't believe he's got a black hat just like he is on TV. That was so good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you for getting him on. And see, next is Jail, Dr. Meldrum.
Yeah, Dr. Meldrum is next week. Is it next? No, is it next week?
Yes, it's coming. This coming
Wow.
up Sunday.
Okay.
Can you believe that? And then we have Vincent Cundiff.
Vic Cundiff.
Vic Cundiff, yes. So we
Vic
have him
Cundiff.
after that. It's Dr. Jeff Meldrum, then Vic Cundiff, and then it's me and you because nobody else is scheduled.
And that's okay. We need to have
But
some of
look,
those shows anyway.
Tex, we've got to discuss some of the pictures that I've been catching. I mean,
We
really.
will. We will. We can
That's
do
what
it
I
on
mean.
here. See, that's great content. We can talk
That's
about
right.
it.
And see, I have all these strange things that look like the Mind Bender or the Scream Machine from Six Flags in my front yard. All
Yeah.
these lights. It's crazy. I mean, who catches lights like that in their front yard? It looks
Yeah.
like a real life what do you call it? A screen machine or whatever it is, a roller coaster in my front yard.
Screen machine.
I'm not kidding. That's what one of our rides are at Six Flags in Atlanta. It's Screen Machine and Mind Bender. So it's just, you know, but anyways, but I can't believe, oh gosh, I just love everybody. Look how sweet. But anyways, I was like, oh my God, please let me get better. I can't hold my head up, Tex. It was bad. It was bad. And I'm still tired, as you can see, because I hadn't slept because of the steroids they had me on.
Yeah.
Well, it's been, tonight will be 3 nights that we have not shut our eyes. I'm not kidding. So, I mean, it's bad. Me and the puppies, because they don't go to sleep when Mama don't go to sleep.
Right.
So, anyways, but Tommy is without TV. He'll have to watch TV on my computer or something.
There you go.
That's all I know to do is pull up maybe some of his shows on my computer. And he's right here at this door. Believe me, he's waiting.
Well, we need to get out of his way.
Well, I was just letting you know he's right outside the door. Waiting for me to finish with this computer.
Well, tell everybody good night. We'll get out of here.
Okay. Hugs and kisses and thank you. And I can't wait to see you Sunday with Dr. Meldrum and help me out with him because I'm going to be a freaking nervous wreck. I'm telling you now. I think because I don't know, I'm just so interested in, you know, that he's a scientist. Oh, I'm waving at people. We're already off the air. I'm delirious.
No, we're not off the air. We haven't stopped yet.
If we haven't stopped yet, Lord, Wind Clan Ken, I'm waving at you. I thought I was going, that's how delirious
I'm waiting for you to tell everybody good night. And then
I thought you ended this week. Ended it with Lyle. Ended it.
No.
Anyways, okay, y'all, I'm sitting here waving at Wind Clan Ken and I'm saying, oh, Lord, I've lost my mind because we've already ended the show. But look, since I've already waved at him, who's above? Don, Wind Clan Ken, Mary Bot, I love you. Y'all be sure and hit the thumbs up. Gary, I love you. You know, I appreciate my moderators. Mickey G, love you, sweetheart. And I hope you're feeling better. Okay, now that you know what I'm like when I think I'm off the air, bye, everybody. I love y'all.
Good night, everybody.
The true Celena.